Hello, mixtresses and mixters. This is mixtressrae. You're watching Mixtress Video. I put up a little poll about a week ago. I wanted to feature my new deck, Tarot of Mystical Moments. Special thank you to Suren. All of my tarot decks and perfumes, which are my two big obsessions right now, purchases in 2021 are directly funded from Etsy tarot readings that I receive and also my Patreon. So Surin is both a patron, and I bought this deck with a reading that she bought for me on my Etsy. So this feels like a gift from you, Surin. So thank you so much. I wanted to feature this deck, and I put up a poll a week or so ago, give or take a few days, and on how to feature it. And you guys voted for me to do a traditional like flip through style review, which is not something that I normally do, so forgive me if it's terrible. Gonna light my little candle. Okay. And you know what? I feel like lighting incense too. Let's do it, shall we? You won't be able to see it, but it'll be here. I mean, you'll probably be able to see the smoke. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to do like kind of a traditional review, but I'm going to let you know right away that there's one flaw in my review. And this particular deck, if you've seen other walkthroughs of it, you know that this deck has each king. You have an option between a more female presenting king and male presenting king, and the emperor. You have a choice between a more female presenting emperor and a more male presenting emperor. I think that's really cool, but the problem is, for me, I've had this deck for a couple weeks now, and I picked my favorites, and then I took out the rest and used them as like bookmarks and stuff. And I've been going through a lot of books lately. Like, I can't find them all. That's the long story, still long. I can't find them all, so I'm not going to be able to give you the comparison between all the kings. And but you're going to see I was able to find the extra emperor and the extra king of wands, so you will see both of those, but you won't get to see and you'll be able to see the extra King of Cups simply because his image is on the back. So I'll bring this back up and show you that at that point. But the extra King of Swords, anyway, you'll see when we get there. I won't be able to show you every single card from this deck because I didn't throw them away, but I don't know where they are right now. Okay? All right. So here's the box. It's just kind of a traditional like hard case box, US Games. Guess I should show you all sides, right? So it really, I like whenever boxes give you options as far as like which point do you, so if you're like stacking them like this is a really beautiful view. And then if you stack them on the side like this is how I usually do it. So this is the side that I face out because this is my favorite card in the deck. I think, the Nine of Pentacles. But then you also have this option. And then inside the box, you have this gorgeous sort of, I don't know how to describe this color. On camera, it's looking like navy blue, but it's really not. It's more of a subdued, dusty sort of blue than it looks on camera. But it's pretty. And the guidebook, it does come with this little title card too. The guidebook is my favorite kind of guidebook because there's a little explanation about why she chose to make the deck. And then it just goes straight into the card meanings. And the card meanings describe the imagery on the card, which I really like. And then you get some keywords for upright and keywords for reverse meanings. And then there's one little spread in the back. Which I have not done the spread yet. And I like it because it's very simple. It's a 4-card spread, and then you have the option to sort of expand upon the reading with 2 extra cards here and here. So I actually would like to try this spread. And then you've got a little bit about the artist, and that's it. This is my, like, now that I know a lot about tarot, like, this is the kind of guidebook that I want with the deck. I want explanations in a deck-specific guidebook about the symbolism on the cards. You know, I want to know why things were chosen, and this guidebook is exactly what I want. Short and sweet. The cardstock itself, it is shiny, which I know a lot of people will complain about, but in this deck specifically, I think it was the right choice because it helps bring out the detail and the colors in the cards. The cardstock is a little thicker than I would like, but it is very flexible and shuffleable, and I like silver edging. I mean, I'm not into like mirrored edging in general, but silver is better for me than gold, so I'm happy with that. The backs are a little boring. They're sort of this like pale greenish taupe, but I mean, it's very serviceable. It's not a bad back. Not a bad back. I should probably, they are a little bit bigger than a standard tarot card. So let me grab a standard tarot card size and I'll show you. Oh, I guess I'm like, they're a little bit bigger. Yeah, they're kind of a lot bigger than a standard tarot size. I would say this is 1/2 inch on the side and maybe 1/4 inch on top. But it works for this deck. Okay, let's get into it, shall we? We're just gonna do a simple flip through. I'll have to find the right way to sort of hold these so you can see them. This is a very good deck to, I think I'm going to leave them face up actually. This is a really great deck to read intuitively. I think it might be a little challenging as a first deck, but I think the artist, Katrin, did a really great job of, she explains in the guidebook that she didn't know everything about tarot whenever she got commissioned to make this deck. And so she just kind of dove in to her studies on it, and then she created kind of intuitively, but also based on the RWS, this deck. And she spent, I think she said she started working on it in 2016, so she really spent some time with it. Overall, I think this is a really thoughtful deck. So here are the 2 emperors. I can actually show you this one, because I found my other emperor. I chose to go with Mr. Twiggy Mustache here. Some great Alice in Wonderland / Winnie the Pooh vibes going here. This is not like, as far as art style, this isn't the typical thing. I like collage style a lot of the time, but I don't usually gravitate towards this more like kind of vintagey, sort of Victorian, more realistic. I feel like this is kind of a realistic deck, and I normally go for fantasy. I mean, this is still fantasy. Interesting choice with the Hermit, because it's like water vibes instead of earth vibes. But most of the time whenever I sit, this is a great deck to do daily draws from, because this is a good deck for, like I said, intuitive readings. You can really spend time with each image, and to me, like, the reasons for the choices and the imagery seem evident. Like, I get the vibe that she's going for most of the time in these cards. Look at how her hair is just becoming clouds. I really like that as a justice card. You guys, I had an insight about the Hanged Man yesterday. I've always kind of struggled with this card, like, you know, the basic, like, seeing things from a new perspective, kind of a waiting space before the death card moment. Like, I got sort of that, like, basic understanding, but I had kind of a moment. I had a mystical moment, if you will, with the Hanged Man. It was in my Marigold Tarot, so it wasn't with this deck. But I just thought I would share it with you guys. It just happened last night. I thought, in the context of the reading that I was doing last night specifically, it made sense. So it might not always make sense for the Hanged Man, but I thought, oh, another way that you could see the Hanged Man card is when you're a person that just sees things from a different perspective all the time, like neurodivergence. You know, if you have a neurodivergent brain, you just kind of are always seeing things through a different lens, you know? And I just thought, oh, that really unlocked the Hanged Man for me. So if that makes sense for you, then you may use that meaning too. Didn't mean for that to rhyme. But anyway, this deck is just, it's gorgeous. It is intuitive. I feel like it's very thoughtful and created from an intuitive space, if that makes sense. I'm actually really enjoying it a lot. This card here, the Devil, it looks like my friend Sarah. Hi, Sarah. If you're watching, you're probably not, but it looks like her. And she kind of has, like, not in a bad way, but she has a little bit of a devil energy to her. This Tower card is one of my favorites too. I like this. I see this sort of idea of you're clinging to something that is an established structure in your life. It's part of your mind. It's part of your hair. It's part of who you are. And you're clinging to it, but it's over. It's over. So one thing, the biggest deterrent for me with this deck, my biggest quibble with it, is you may have noticed, I don't think there's a single person of color in the entire Major Arcana, and throughout the deck itself, there's probably 10 at most cards with people of color. There's really no age diversity whatsoever, so diversity is definitely a problem in this deck. I really like this Sun card too. I'm going to read actually, let's do that. I'm going to read the Guidebook Explanation for the Sun card, because there's a reason for this like dark bird on here, and I thought that was interesting. If I can find it. Okay, here we go. The card, so this is just like an example of what you will get in the guidebook. The card shows a woman who captures all the light and energy from the sun. There are rays of sunlight, flower petals, and birds emanating from the woman into the sky. The woman is filled with complete happiness, and she is spreading her warmth to other people's lives. But a dark bird is covering her eye and blocks the warmth of the sun, preventing the sunshine from reaching every corner. Even with sunshine, you can sometimes feel sad. But soon the birds will fly away, the negative mood will pass, and the sun will shine on you once again. So this is a good example of how I feel like the overall vibe of this deck is very forgiving and very gentle. This deck is like, you get the Sun card. You know, have you ever had like that moment where you get the Sun card and you're like, shut the fuck up. I'm not happy right now. It's not all joy and sunshine and blah, blah, blah right now. Like, this is an example of a deck that I feel like it gives you like sort of the sweet answers and sort of the forgiving answers and the healing answers, but it gives it to you even in a special, in a kind of a nuanced way. I hope this makes sense, but like, it's, if you get a Sun card at a moment when you are not happy, sometimes it feels like it's mocking you. But with the explanation of this card, like, it's a beautiful, joyous Sun card, like it should be. But you see that little bird and you read the guidebook definition, and you go, okay, well, I don't know, it's sort of like telling you that hope is on the way, even if you're not feeling it right now. Or sometimes a traditional Sun card can make you feel like, you know, everything should be happy, even when you're not, you know? I don't know. I feel like I'm not articulating that well, but hopefully you know what I'm saying. But yes, I would say that overall this deck has a vibe of, like, I haven't had it long enough to know exactly how I'm going to use this deck. But I think overall my thought process will be, I'll use this deck whenever I need a healing moment, whenever I need to be validated for whatever like upsetting thing I'm dealing with at the moment. I feel like this deck is going to be like a hug deck. Not to say that I'm sure this deck can be confrontational too, but I feel like the confrontation in this deck is going to be from a very Kuan Yin space. You know, it's going to be very much like, I love you, but here's something you might want to think about. If you're not ready to think about it yet, that's okay. You know, I feel like that's the vibe from this deck. I am disappointed at the lack of diversity, but yeah, I mean, there is no but. I am disappointed in that. And that is something that I look for. I guess the but is, but it's easy for me to have a but. It's easy for me to be like, well, diversity isn't here, but la la la, because I'm a white chick and I see myself in this deck very easily. We haven't even gotten to a person of color yet, have we? I don't think it happens till the Queen of Wands. Okay, and I can show you the other King of Wands, so you will have your choice between these two. I chose her because I like her. She just seems like such a badass to me. My only other quibble with this deck is just I specifically in my tarot decks, I prefer to have aces be just a hand. That probably would have looked a little weird in this deck, but that's just my very specific thing. This deck is surprising me, honestly, because of how I feel like she really did find a way to interpret the cards in an RWS way that I can understand, but also in a slightly different way. Another thing that that she explains in the guidebook is that she, with the minor arcana, with each one, she chose a symbol that could stand in for whatever the suit is. So she doesn't have cups on the cups cards, but like in this one, you can obviously see that these yellow flowers are the cups. So you can see very easily that this is an RWS depiction of the Five of Cups, where she's focusing on these three flowers that she's lost when she's not looking at the two she still has. And I like that. I like that. I just really do. And in this, the cups are represented as balloons. This is one of my favorite cards. Also, this is going to sound weird, but this deck feels like there's something about the house that I live in now. It was built in 1905, so it's very, very old. I get the same sort of vibe from my house that I get from this deck, if that makes any sense. It's like this deck, I feel like it, I don't know what it is. It's like my house has a relationship with this deck. Like my house is connected to this deck somehow. And I'm pretty sure I'm not going to live here forever, because I did fall down the stairs last night. It's a thing that I do. It sounds dramatic. I fell down the stairs last night. It's a thing that I do. But this house is extremely tall, and I have a problem with coordination and fine motor skills, as a lot of autistic people do. Last night was the first time that I had done it in a long time, but eventually I'd like to move to a house that doesn't have stairs, because eventually I won't just bounce off my ass and be fine. My ass is all bruised today. This is one of my favorite Knight of Cups ever, 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 ever. It reminds me, I love this whole like playing your heart as an instrument. I'm going to get close. I get Sarasvati vibes with this card. It's so gorgeous to me. And this, there are a few cards in this deck that remind me of a specific song. This one reminds me of Sheila Chandra and her song Ever So Lonely, because there's this line in that song, an ocean refuses no river. And this, for some reason, that lyric just pops into my head immediately upon looking at this card. Love this. It's mermaidy vibes without being too obvious. Even though I'm totally fine with an obvious mermaid, Queen of Cups, but... And I chose the female presenting King of Cups, mostly because of the relationship between these two figures, because I see, you know, the tentacle hair situation really matches in these two cards. But I will show you, because I don't have the actual card here, but this is what the other King of Cups looks like. So he's pretty cute too. I was using him as a bookmark and now I can't find him, but I'll find him eventually. Gorgeous how her hair becomes like a galaxy and there's a keyhole, but she's holding the key. Yeah. Like, I feel like this entire deck, I could sit here and like just intuitively interpret the artwork for you guys. I feel like it would be easy to do. So that is what I like about this deck. Okay, I have to take a second to talk about the Six of Swords. Six of Swords is always an important card to me, but this one in particular is a really great interpretation, I think, because she's made of a dark cloud and she has two possible paths that she can take. She can anchor herself down to this island, which I get the sense would be a healing space for her, but she can also choose to go up into the sky, whatever that option means. And I feel like this card isn't giving you a specific judgment as to which path is the right path. And I feel like depending on the reading, depending on the person, it could mean different things as far as like which is the right path. This also reminds me of a song. This reminds me of Heather Nova's Island. There's a lyric in that song that it's, I need an island, somewhere to sink a stone, somewhere to bury you, somewhere to go. And it's about healing from the trauma of an abusive person, an abusive relationship. That whole album, Heather Nova's Oyster, is about that. And this really reminds me of that, because this looks like a space that, you know, if you really, really need time and space alone to heal from something, this is the place you can go right here. And I feel like that is such a Six of Swords moment. And yeah, so this is a good example of like how you can really sink into the imagery of a card in this deck. Look at this Nine of Swords. I think I love all the nines in this deck. This Nine of Cups is one of my favorite. Nine of Pentacles is my favorite. I love this Nine of Swords. What was the Nine of Wands? Oh, I love the Nine of Wands too. Let's just get that out real quick, just for funsies. Love that. I love that. Okay. The nines are really well done in this deck. And 9's my favorite number. I love this 10 of Swords. This is an instance where I chose both of the kings because I didn't really, the queen was kind of small, like she wasn't taking up a lot of space on the card. So I chose the female presenting King of Swords to be my Queen of Swords. So I like that there was options. Isn't he gorgeous? Yeah. Okay. This deck is interesting. I don't really have any other deck like it. Like, as far as unfair comparisons, I was going to compare it against Intuitive Night Goddess if you guys had chosen that option in the poll. But I don't think it truly would have been an unfair comparison, because the only thing that's really similar is that they're both kind of collage style, vintagey. I see that, like, people are comparing this deck to Dreamkeepers, and I think that makes sense. I don't have Dreamkeepers anymore. I did have it, but there was I can get sucked into, you guys may have noticed this about me if you watch my channel, I can get sucked into some pretty minute details about things sometimes, and Dreamkeepers had this certain aspect of the art style. I won't tell you what it is, just because I may have said it in like one of my reviews of it, but it's kind of nitpicky. But it was just this one little thing that I could not stop being distracted about, so I had to get rid of that deck. But I really like the surreal collage style that's in that deck. Look at this 9 of Pentacles. Isn't she gorgeous? I love birds. Like, half my tattoos are birds, pretty much. I'm the bird mad girl. If I ever get a knuckle tattoo, that's going to be it. Don't ask me how I'm going to do it. I know that's more than 8 letters. We do have the bunnies in the Queen of Pentacles, but there was no black cat in the Queen of Wands, unfortunately. And I can't show you the other King of Pentacles, unfortunately. So you didn't get to see the Queen of Swords or the other King of Pentacles, but I was able to show you everybody else. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know where those are. I do not know. Is there one? Like, I'm looking in all my books that are nearby. Is it in that one? I squirrel things sometimes, and it always seems like a great place to put them at the time that I'm squirreling them. But okay, do we want to do like a little shuffles just so you guys can see how it shuffles? This might be a little bit loud because this is a like 10. We'll shuffle slow so that it's not too loud. But it's a little awkward to shuffle just because they're bigger, slightly stiffer cards, but it's pretty flexible. I will say that these cards kind of warp. I don't know if you can tell, but they're kind of bent up at like the top corner and the bottom right, the top left corner and the bottom right corner, kind of, they just sort of like, you know how some cards will just like do a weird warping thing. Kind of want to pull a card for us, shall we? That's what people do in traditional reading or traditional reviews, right? Or pull a couple of cards just so we can have Pentacles and Justice. Things will be resolved in our favor. We will have everything that we need soon. That's good. I like that. That makes me happy. Okay, thank you guys for putting up with my terrible... I'm sure I forgot like something important that people would want to know about the tarot deck in a review. But at least you got to see most of the cards. Thank you guys so much. Bye.